I'm joined now by Republican Senator Rob Portman, a member of the Finance Committee and former budget director for President George W. Bush. I'm sure this is all too familiar, Senator. It's great to have you on the program. What's your reaction to the defense by Mick Mulvaney of this program thus far, new as it is?
Well, look, a budget is a series of recommendations. The one I recommended to a Congress, which was a Democratic Congress, was not very well received, but it was the general direction that the administration wanted to go in. That's what this budget represents. There's some things in here, including tax reform, that are not included. There was just a discussion of this on your program, why that's so important. So there are other things that are not part of the budget, but that are incredibly important to getting the economy moving. And, you know, it's a combination of restraining spending and growing the economy that's going to get us out of the fiscal problems that we're in and to give people more hope. And you know, I'm hopeful that this process will end up with 12 different appropriations bills this year, which Congress is supposed to do. And then we'll end up having, you know, some differences with the budget, but at the end of the day, we'll be able to move forward on a pro-growth agenda.
Sounds like a lot of work. The Associated Press is describing this particular budget proposal as politically unrealistic. What do you think of that description?
Well, it has a 3% growth projection, which is the main thing people are focused on as being unrealistic. I hope we can get to 3%, but it's going to require, again, these other pro-growth elements that are not part of the budget. Including tax reform significantly. Also doing something on regulations. Smarter regulations is really important. We did mark up a bill last week in committee here, bipartisan, that would do that. And then other issues have to be dealt with, like the increasing costs of health care, and ways in which we can restore some growth in the economy by having better skills training, using the federal dollar much more wisely in that regard. So I think that's the key, is to, yes, restrain spending, but also get this economy moving again.
You mentioned a few things. I'm just writing them down as you're speaking so our viewers can keep track, because it is a lot that you're attempting to do over the next several months, and that's great, right? You have a budget proposal, tax reform, regulation, health care. That's a big list, though. Where's the priority in your mind, and when does the average American start to feel the effects of some of these proposals if they are indeed supposed to help the economy?
I think what's happened so far, Jenna, is that we focused on the individual regulations. As you know, about 56 million hours of work has been taken out by better regulations and savings of over $76 billion to the economy. So that's already starting to happen. But then broader regulatory reform, I think, is in the next few months. In the meantime, health care is first, tax reform is second. The reason is we're doing them both under a budget procedure, and you have to finish one before you start the other. But I do think by the end of this year, this calendar year, I think tax reform is very possible. I think there's more consensus, frankly, around tax reform than there is around health care. And I think there's an opportunity for Republicans to come together on a basic pro-growth agenda that has lower taxes, broadening the base of taxation by getting rid of some of the complexity in the tax code. And that's, you know, sort of time-honored wisdom is that's going to grow the economy. I'm hopeful we can get to the kind of growth numbers they have in their budget, but I know we can do better than 0.7% growth this first quarter, or 1.6% growth over the last year.
Yeah, 0.7 was the most recent reading. We got a few different readings just to get a final number on that, but it was a tough number to see as far as the economy. Let me talk to you a little bit about the president's trip overseas, because we're talking about the economy as well in relation to that. He's speaking to, we expect, our NATO partners about making sure that they're paying their fair share. We've heard that term before used in many different ways. How does that add in if some of these European countries do end up paying more than they have in the past? How does that impact, you know, our domestic budget? How do you see the two interplaying?
Well, it's incredibly important. We do have to do more in terms of protecting our country right now. Our military is not ready because we have cut too much, particularly with regard to preparedness over the last few years. So, you know, the Obama administration did again what we tend to do historically in this country. We tend to cut too much, and then we have to come back again, and that's where we are now, is figuring out how to restore some of those cuts, to get planes in the airs, to get, you know, ships off dock, to actually be able to defend ourselves in an increasingly dangerous world, as we've seen even this week with regard to the attack in Manchester. But it helps to have allies out there working with us, and what it does is it projects more force. It's a force multiplier for us to have, particularly our NATO allies, who have this operability with us. They have, you know, similar communication systems, the same weapons systems. So they're able to essentially make it easier for us not to have to put as much funding into our defense, particularly for them. So it's a good thing. I think the trip in general, Jen, has been positive. I think this notion of America's leadership role having been eroded over the last 8 years is real, and I think what you're seeing is, through this trip and through some other measures that have been taken, a reassertion of America's global role, not as the world's policeman, but maybe more like the sheriff, where you have a posse with you, and the posse certainly includes these countries in the Middle East that the President talked about in terms of fighting ISIS, the Gulf states countries, but also in terms of our NATO allies, to be sure that we are pushing back in Eastern Europe with Russia, to be sure that we're together in terms of the fight against terrorism. And so I think in general that's been very positive.
Well, and I wanted to ask you a little bit about that. I spoke to the former Secretary of Defense, Bob Gates, yesterday at a panel that I was hosting, an event I was at, and I know you're the member of the Homeland Security Committee as well. There's a question about how safe we are here if we're seeing attacks like the one in Manchester in England. There's, of course, been a great controversy over the travel ban, but the Secretary Gates said to me, we're going to have to figure out how to vet some of these people coming from the Middle East. He didn't have a solution on how to do that. How do you feel about that? What is the way forward?
Yeah, Jenna, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, I think it's kind of a three-pronged approach. One is the military part we talked about, and that is important to go after ISIS, and that's happening now in Syria and also in Iraq. But second, we have to do more in terms of ensuring the people who come to this country are not here to do us harm. And he's right, there are a lot of foreign fighters who have gone into the fight, more from Europe than from the United States. But many of these European countries have a visa waiver program with us where it's easier to come into our country because they're our allies, because we're generally not concerned about it. But we have to be more concerned now because about 5,000, we think, of these foreign fighters can go back to European countries and then have relatively easy access to the United States. So that's why we do need to tighten up on the visa programs, the visa waiver program, and just ensure that we're doing everything we can to protect the country. But then finally, homegrown terrorism. I mean, let's face it, that is probably the toughest of all. And there, I think that's law enforcement, it's the FBI and even local law enforcement, but it's also having better relationships with the Muslim community in this country. That's what's been successful in finding some of these terrorist threats. In my own home state of Ohio, we had the first foreign fighter was arrested on terrorist charges. It was because the Muslim community worked with local police to identify the threat and to be able to stop somebody before he committed an atrocious crime. So this is, unfortunately, we live in a dangerous world, and it's very real.
That definitely hits home. I'm going to have to take a quick commercial break, but I want to bring you back on the other side of it, if you have the time, Senator, because even though we're talking a great deal about terrorism, that's very important. I also want to point out to our viewers that more Americans have actually died from opioid addiction and overdoses than terrorism in recent years. And because of that statistics really stands out to me. There's some events in Ohio I want to talk to you about, and also talk a little bit about solutions in that particular area. So quick commercial, and we'll be right back with Senator Portman in just a moment.